Can
This
you all hear me?
conference will now be recorded.
Yes, you're good.
Oh, okay, great. Hi, everyone. This is Patience Brooks. I'm with Chugach Government Solutions. We're headquartered out of Alaska. We're one of the federal subsidiaries of Chugach Alaska Corporation. We've been operating for about 30 years, and we provide support to 4 lines of business: facilities and maintenance, construction, education, and IT and technical positions. And I recruit in the IT and technical space. And I've been recruiting for about 8 years.
Thank you, Patience. You beat me to the punch. You got us started here. Got us started early. I will go ahead and introduce everybody, and then we'll jump back into the company introductions and then get rolling. Um, Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the HBCU Hire webinar series. My name is Nate Eichhoff. I am the Senior Operations Manager with the Leading Niche. Many people are asking, what is the HBCU Hire Initiative? It is an initiative led by the Leading Niche and is partnered with over 75 federal contractors to recruit and mentor students and alumni from historically Black colleges and universities. Many individuals think about working for the government, but have you considered working as a federal contractor? It's still supporting the federal government. Federal contractors account for millions of jobs globally and help government agencies fulfill their missions, whether it's the CDC, and we're familiar with their public health mission, or the Department of Homeland Security to keep us safe, or Space Force in its mission to conduct global space operations. The options are endless. So each month we will have a different federal contractors participate in a panel discussion to introduce you to career options. We'll also provide one-on-one mentoring. So if interested, please send a note to hbcuhire@theleadingniche.com, and we will coordinate that. So you'll be set up with a different contractor. So without further ado, let's get started with our panelists, and where today's topic will cover IT careers supporting the federal government. So we've got Patience. She already went and gave us her introduction and her company's introduction. So we'll jump right in with Jack Downs.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Sir.
All right. Yes, thanks, Nate, for putting this together. And good afternoon again. I'm Jack Downs, COO of Elevate Government Solutions. We are a small business IT services integrator, founded in 2017, headquartered in Washington, D.C., but currently performing contract work in various geographical regions in the United States. And well, thanks to the COVID-19 pandemic, now our employees are also sort of somewhat all over the country as well, serving in primarily remote first roles. But then, of course, now things are changing again, and we're seeing a bit of a push to get folks back onto a client site. Happy to be here and happy to answer any additional questions, provide a little bit more granularity on the specific work we're doing when the time is appropriate here in this discussion. Nate, does that sort of cover it for you?
Yep, that's good.
All right.
Thank you so much. Let's hear from Heidi Page.
Good morning, everybody. It's a delightful morning out there. I'm part of systems integration. We're a contact center and help desk solution company. Now, that makes you think that we just have people answering phones. That is not true. We also do the technology. So we do everything for customer experience. When you contact the federal government, any of the areas that you could contact the federal government on is areas that we would go after. So we don't only contract the federal, but we also do state and local. So in Maryland, we have quite a few opportunities also across the country. We're very interested in IT, especially Our belief is the new technology that we're looking for to better customer experience. Those guys are still sitting at the universities because the rest of us have the old technology. We're doing things same old, same old. So we are very interested in listening to the new people into the area of IT, area of customer experience. So this is why we're very excited to be part of this initiative. Thank you.
And thank you, Heidi. Let's move to Melanie.
Hello, everybody. Happy to be on the panel today. Thank you for the invitation. I'm the Vice President of Human Resources for SMS Data Products Group, and I also manage the security clearance realm. So I can address questions when it comes to becoming a cleared individual, which a lot of the government positions do require a security clearance. We work in the DoD space and do federal IT innovative solutions and services for the federal government. We have everything from our cable techs that run the cable and design the cable all the way through to network engineers, system engineers, cyber, you name it, an IT market. We pretty much are managing it with the IT government. We've been in business since 1976. We are located in McLean, Virginia, but we do have locations on Air Force, Army bases, military bases throughout the US, as well as in Germany. So happy to be here today and happy to answer any questions you have.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Let's hear from Blaine.
Thank you, Nate. Blaine Smith, happy to be here on the panel today. I'm a principal owner at Centurion Consulting Group, along with our primary principal owner, Teresa Zandi. We are a women-owned small business federal government contractor. We serve the federal government in IT services in 5 main areas that are agile solutions, data solutions, software development and engineering, infrastructure and security support, as well as the HR and talent acquisition space. We are headquartered in Herndon, Virginia. About 90% of our employees today are remote, when 3 years ago, 100% of them were not remote. So the world has changed dramatically. Like Jack said, we are seeing some changes moving backwards, which is great, to getting some folks back to the office, which we think is fantastic. We predominantly serve the civilian sector in the Department of Commerce, Health and Human Services, in areas like HHS, inside of HHS like NIH, CMS, HRSA, Department of Commerce, we're at Census, we're at SSA, Department of Transportation. We also do work on the Department of Defense side in support of the United States Navy and other DoD sectors. Grateful to be here and look forward to the panel today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, let's hear from Tony.
Thank you, Nate. Very happy to be here today. I'm a partner here with Integrity One Partners. We go by IOP colloquially, and been here since 2003. I focus now on primarily growing the firm, as well as leading some delivery operations in certain places, but my background is technical. We as a company, we're a digital modernization company. We do a lot of development work, enterprise data integration type work, some analytics in the IT space, as well as we run, plan and manage large programs. So a lot of program management work as well. We have a 20-year presence inside Homeland Security and over a decade at both FDA, HHS, and the DOJ side, including FBI.
Awesome. Well, that's great. Well, thank you guys very much for the great introductions. We'll jump right into the first question for today's panel, where we'll hear from Blaine and Jack. So that first question will be, what types of careers does your company hire for within the IT field supporting the federal government?
I will jump in first, I guess, here. And
Thanks, Blaine.
For us, it's an extensive list inside those 4 main areas for us again. So agile solutions, data solutions, software development, engineering, and infrastructure. So our roles have a tendency to be your mid-level and senior level roles around software engineering, software development, So your Java, Spring Boot, your Angular, microservices development, we're looking for engineers that have a background in participating in IT modernization or digital transformation efforts with the federal government specific to the civilian space. Again, back to the Department of Commerce and Health and Human Services. From there, it grows to Agile Scrum Masters, Agile coaches, project managers, and program managers for our Agile solution space. For our data solution space, we're looking for those that have data science, database administration, data analysis, as well as business analysts that can work inside between the stakeholders in the functional departments as well as the technology departments. In our infrastructure and security space, we're looking for cybersecurity engineers. We're looking for security engineers. We're looking for desktop support. We're looking for RF engineering and network engineering support. And then finally, we hire for DevOps, cloud engineers, and DevSecOps. So that's the list could go on from there, but I'll leave it there for the moment.
So my answer is going to be really easy since I got to follow Blaine, and I know that his company profile at Centurion is very similar to ours at Elevate. Ditto. The full spectrum of software implementation and support services from junior developers all the way up to project and program managers. The federal space can certainly be hard to enter as a junior. So I'll just comment rather than going through a list of all the different skill sets that we look for. It's all project dependent. I mean, from some very niche requirements. Outside of cybersecurity, in specific development and languages, and tool sets. The government is obviously becoming very interested in getting to the cloud. So, right now, one of the challenges we have is finding, ISSEs that have 7 to 10 years of experience, but are also, fully AWS certified and have been working, in a cloud environment for 5 years on government projects. It's like there's just not that many of those folks out there right now because the government isn't quite that far along on its journey. Additionally, another challenge, to be prepared for when trying to get into, the IT sector specifically in support of federal projects is, many clients are very insistent on a certain amount of static skill sets, whether that be education, experience, exposure to certain tools. We try to, at every opportunity, to work with our clients and get them to understand that, the right junior personnel are very dynamic, capable of learning on the fly, and can, when selected properly, can be attained at a lower rate and probably save them a lot of money in the long run rather than looking for, very high level people. So, having so for as somebody trying to enter into that, just be aware that there's going to be limited opportunity, for certain customers based on those requirements. But if you find the right partner, then hopefully they're willing to work with you, help you grow into this space, and get you on the right project that fits your capabilities.
Awesome. No,
Hey,
that's great
Nate,
information.
just going to add something there, and this would go for Jack's company as well as mine. The predominance of our work does require some type of level of public trust or secret or obtaining of a top secret clearance. There is work out there, so those all require, for the most part, U.S. citizenship. Public trust at times can also accept green card. And there is work in the federal government that does allow an H-1 student or an H-1 holder to be able to gain on certain civilian work. But the reason for bringing it up simply is the fact that I wanted to make the students aware that getting a clearance is not a scary thing. It's not an extremely hard thing. And so you will really create career demand for yourself if you're able to get into an opportunity that you start maybe with a public trust, right? So you've got a good record and you've got an opportunity to work for a civilian agency. And A secret clearance can take upwards of 3 to 6 months. It depends upon the work that you're doing. Top secret can go a little bit longer, and as you go through. So I don't want the students to think that the clearance is a prohibitor. It's actually a wonderful thing. Once you get to a secret clearance or top secrets, you're really going to open up doors, and you'll be gainfully employed for quite some time, depending upon the work that you want to do, and allow yourself a lot of movability. Jack, I don't know if you want to add to that, but
No, I'll thump the desk on that one for you because we're currently experiencing the exact same challenges is finding cleared people for some specific niche skill sets which are they're out there. There's plenty of people out there that know how to do what we need them to do, but they don't have a clearance, right? So to get them on a government project can take some time, and we don't always have the runway to get there. So like Blaine said, if you have the opportunity, and those opportunities, great opportunity to seek out is look for internships, look for fellowships while you're still at school, and that'll provide you the opportunity to work on a classified project and get your because oftentimes those internships and fellowships are specifically designed to get you there, get you into that clearance process, and then like Blaine said, once you have it, you've got a pretty solid ticket there. Over.
yeah, and to that point, Jack and Nate, is that I would encourage as much in-person opportunity to work on site to all the students. The opportunity to get that mentorship that Jack was talking about, those internships, the real person collaboration, the real in-person type communication for those jobs. The government is seeing a major need for those in the Department of Defense sector, for those Americans that want to serve the country, and we need people to be able to serve those missions on site. So those clear jobs typically require you to be physically in an office 5 days a week, but there's a much bigger calling there in the mission. So I'll stop talking and we'll get you back to your next questions, Nate.
I would love to jump in real quick just to kind of tail end on Jack and Blaine. A lot of entry level positions offer the sponsorship of a clearance, which can be based on a contingent offer. So don't be afraid to take a contingent offer. We're getting interim clearances back within about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks of when you submit your paperwork, your application. So we can get you started pretty quickly. Don't be afraid to take a contingent offer based on getting that clearance. Like they said, it really is a great foot in the door. And once you have your interim, or you have your secret or your TS, or you continue on to TSSCI and beyond, it makes you very valuable in the government market. And to start with a contractor is the best way to do it. I will tell you that we joke that contractors are probably the best recruiting source for the federal government. So if you start with a contractor, you get your foot in the door as a junior, you come in maybe doing desktop support or help desk for a year or two, you get your full clearance, you get some experience as a federal contractor. The doors are really open there.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I worked on a contract that hired, and everybody had a contingent offer on public trust, and each agency is different with that. It was specifically with CBP, and their public trust is very different than most other public trusts. And some secret takes 3 to 6 months. Most of the times we saw on instances those public trusts taking upwards of a year for some people. So it really just depends as well. So if you can start it early, that's great advice. All right. Well, jumping in from those types of positions, the next question we want to kind of get into in the details is what types of backgrounds you look for in those specific candidates when trying to fill those IT positions. So on this question, we'll hear from Heidi, Melanie, and Tony as well.
So I'll go
So
ahead and
yes, okay. Sorry, Melanie, you go ahead. I will come behind you.
Okay, I was just going to say, so we talked about backgrounds and background checks, and you have to be honest when you work for the federal government. You can't try and hide anything, so you do have to be forthcoming, and you can explain and mitigate any issues when it comes to a background issue. One of the big things we look for is initiative, somebody who is constantly willing to learn, and there's new technologies, there's new solutions that advance all the time throughout the federal government. So you're really looking for somebody who has initiative, who wants to get in and learn and grow within the contract, grow within their career. A lot of mentorship opportunities once you get the foot in the door with some senior subject matter experts that can actually guide you on a path of interest, be it on the security side or the networking side, or the options out there are priceless. But we do look for the qualifications that are required for the government. All government positions have specific qualifications. They may have a degree requirement. If they don't have a degree, they have a equivalent experience, which means that, for example, a bachelor's degree, the equivalent experience would be 4 years of skills in that field. So you would need one of the two of those. There are entry-level roles, obviously, that you don't need a full degree either. But certifications are huge, and I know we're going to talk about that in another topic, but we do look at certifications, and are you keeping certifications that you've maintained? Those are the types of things that are very important to us, and I'll touch more on the certifications when we get to that question. We're definitely looking for somebody with good communication skills, somebody who can communicate both verbal and written with the customer, with the management that you work with. And a lot of times, at least in our positions, we're looking for somebody who's willing to travel. Some of our positions can be upward to 50% travel, depending on the roles you take. So that's another thing that we look for as well in a candidate.
You're on mute, Heidi.
I I forget that. I can almost say ditto, because yes, in our from our company's perspective, we have those lower entry jobs, but we also have the jobs that Blaine was talking about, where where you are looking for that Cisco certification, you are looking for that experience. Um, that is more in once you have a system and you start needing to tweak that system and you need to bring in innovations. But we also have, luckily, and the students can really look at SII for entry level in the areas that we have, because we have DoD, which gives you the path to secret and top secret. But we also have TSA, DHS, um, CBP, that gives you that public trust. And coming in as a contact center or help desk agent, it might feel like, okay, no, I don't want to do that. But students should look at that, because that gives them that clearance. It gives them that entry. It gives them that work experience. And of course, that gives them an income that they can then use to further their education in getting that Cisco or high level certifications that they then would need to move on. Um, some of our opportunities are seasonal, so we absolutely look at when we interview, do you have that flexibility? Can you be at university and join same, say, a FEMA emergency contact center that only stands up when there has been a hurricane or something like that? So we look for flexibility. We absolutely also look for that creativity that Melanie spoke about. I like to call that a mindset. The willingness to learn, and a mindset to grow your career. Another thing about IT that's very important and that can be developed right where you are at university or at college, community college, is working with people. I mean, IT is absolutely listening, working with people, working as part of a team, um, coming into an interview with examples of where you are part of a team, where you are part of a club, where you ventured into um, creating your own website. Nowadays, even put on a YouTube channel. You've done that. That shows initiative, that shows IT. Um, so I'm going to get off my soapbox here now, but I do want to say, yeah, there's two tracks. You have the entry level track. You just got to keep your mind open for it. And then, of course, there is the higher level, high need. If you are into getting those IT higher level degrees, Of course, those individuals are highly sought after. Mind your credit scores, mind your speeding tickets, mind what you venture into creative recreationally when you apply to a federal opportunity. Thank you.
And be truthful. um, Yeah, so to add on our side, I mean, this theme has come up a little bit, but I'll maybe take it in a little bit of a different direction. So for us, learning culture permeates kind of everything we do here. So I would say the number one attribute we look for in a candidate is, do you want to learn continuously? Do you explore things on your own? How do you learn? How do you make sure that you're learning new things? What do you do to make sure that you're growing, and when our employees grow, our clients benefit from it, employees benefit from it, firm benefits from it. For entry level or just coming out of undergrad, I would say definitely track record in terms of like, well, what courses did you take? Are they lined up for this? And if not, what's caused your interest to come into the IT field? If you've got relevant internship or project work, that's great as well. On the experience hire side, I'd say, for IT, and you heard a little bit about it in the profiles, not everyone we need is a developer. Custom, Java cloud developers, they're hard to hire right now. And so that's obviously, something we look for, but we also need requirements analysts and testers, project managers. And for us, it's people that, are involved and at least understand what goes into coding and delivering a solution, even if they're not developers. And if they are developers, our experience tells us that like people without CS degrees, comp sci or related, do quite well in that space. Math majors, art majors, music majors, psychology majors, particularly those kind of tracks do very well on the development side. But we also do strategy and operations, so project managers, financial analysts, those kinds of things. So I would say, we look for on the experience side, we look for something that fits into kind of that broad either program management side or development side. And on the undergrad side, we look for coursework and as well, your ability to learn and your desire to learn.
That's great advice. Great advice. And all right, so we've already kind of started hitting on it and talking about backgrounds, but now we're going to dive into specifically how can a new graduate get into an IT career? What should they do in college, in the summers? How can they best navigate getting into that career? And we'll hear from Melanie and Patience.
I'll go ahead and get started. I think one of the biggest things in the DoD space, because of the positions that we really work with here, is that you have the required certifications. Over the summer, when you have some downtime and you start studying for certifications, it is a huge deal to have those certifications coming in. We, as the DoD, majority of our people have privileged access to government systems, which means that they're required to have what's called an AIT level. This is a security level. All of our positions that have any kind of access to government systems require this. And there's 3 different levels. You can look up on the internet what the IAT levels are. You can start at the basic level, which is a CompTIA A+. And then from there, you could go to Network Plus, Security Plus, and it goes on and on, all the way up to a certified ethical hacker or a CISSP. So there's a lot of various certifications, but getting into some Cisco certifications, some CompTIA, Juniper, VMware, IDLE. These are all great certifications if you're looking to get into the government or government IT. Those are ones that we oftentimes will make a contingent offer based on somebody getting that certification. And now they have a time frame they have to get it in and make sure that they get it hopefully before another candidate might also have a contingent offer. So if you can study and start getting some of those certifications on your downtime in between your semesters, it will give you a huge advantage in getting into the market. Um, as Heidi said, and we've kind of said throughout, have a clean background, start looking into things that might cause you issues in getting a clearance or getting a public trust. Things like, do you have credit issues that maybe you can resolve? Can you work out a payment plan for something that's on your credit, or pull a credit report? There's free credit reports out there that you can pull. Look and see if there's any concerns out there that you need to address. Maybe call the credit agency and see if you can get them resolved. These things can prepare you for work in the federal market. We take referrals very highly. So if you have somebody that you know who's in a position that can refer you, referrals are always great. So if you can start connecting with people on LinkedIn, friends, family that you might have, they all help in getting you into the IT market, both on the contractor side and the federal side as well. Um, Veterans are huge also. We have a lot of veterans that we hire. So if you are a veteran status, make that known when you're submitting your applications. Don't be afraid to say you're a veteran, you have a disability, what your race, what your gender is. Those are all things that are important that we have to track, and we also have to make sure we meet qualifications for all the hires that we have. So putting that information out there when you're on an application, that's huge in both the federal government for government jobs as well as the contracting world. So I'll stop there and let other people kind of chime in as well.
Hi, I'd also like to add, while you're in school, a lot of schools and universities are partnering with Handshake, and that's a recruiting platform, and that's something that students and alumni can sign up to, and it just provides them with a broader um, list of opportunities that they might want to apply for that are entry level and all levels really, in case alumni wants to apply, but I know more and more companies are also partnering with Handshake. And I know on my company, we're partnered with it. And just in general, I've noticed that more federal contractors are partnering with Handshake just to get exposure on their position. So that's also a good opportunity that a lot of people overlook.
Awesome. All right. So now, and I think we've heard throughout the most of this panel, a lot of positions are more senior positions, especially small businesses, unless you have 100-person teams. So now we're going to transition. How can a more veteran worker or employee and candidate, how can they transition from one career into an IT position? Try and better their lifestyle, up their standard of living, and also gain some more experience and knowledge. How can they best transition? And so we'll hear from Patience, Jack, and Tony.
I would say that certification is still very important. So I would say find out what field of IT you want to go into because there's a lot of fields within IT that you can go into. And of course, if you're not sure, like if you're a more seasoned employee, you may not want an entry level position that's paying less. So to sort of stay where you're at, I know business analyst positions, people in those positions, they understand how business functions and they're able to interpret needs and they're to sort of convert it into sort of like tech speak and specifications that are needed. So I know business analyst positions are a good way to sort of transition into maybe what you're doing. And if you want to sort of get into IT, positions like that are really good to sort of look at. And you may also want to speak to someone that's in a position and see what steps that they take to get into that position to see maybe what you need to explore to be able to obtain a position and sort of begin to make that transition into the IT field.
Yeah, that just to tag on here, that kind of was where I started. I think about what within the IT field you're most interested in doing, what lines up to what you do now, maybe what lines up to what you want to do later. Maybe they're the same thing, maybe they're not. But is it working with a client? Is it coding? Is it supporting users, support desk? Is it working with data? And then from there, there's relevant positions for all of those is, it could be Scrum Master, requirements analyst, or it could be a test engineer. And if coding eventually is your goal, look for a way to sort of move into that direction, right? It could be help desk or tester first and gets you exposure to some code, and then you move into that. I would give one alternate path that we have interviewed multiple times and actually hired one who came out of a boot camp. Now that's, additional, obviously funds, and so, you may not want to go into it, another another classroom environment at that point. And I would say, it depends on the person, but those, if you want to really jumpstart and development is what you want to do, those may be an avenue to look at as well. But again, they cost more money. And then I think certifications have come up a bunch, but there's certifications in all kinds of things. If for instance it's visualization, you could look for Tableau or Click or something like that. Scrum Masters are important. And then if it's coding, it could be Java or an AWS cert. So those are a few ideas. Jack?
Yeah, I think that from my perspective, having transitioned from a 20 plus career in the military now into the IT field, and I was not a technologist, and I'm not even sure I still am. But I think I've made a successful transition, and I would say first and foremost, know what you want. And if you're not sure, spend more time figuring it out before you embark on this, because the last thing you want to do is start, investing your time and energy into a path that that you're unsure of. To have a plan, and we've talked about all the different resources that are out here right now. And if you don't know how to build that plan, get some resources. The resources that are out there to help you build one. And one of the key elements of that could be and should be a mentor. So find somebody, and if you don't know how to get there, leverage network like this group right here. There's more than enough people out there at all angles, and you probably just don't even know about it. So the first way to do that is just ask, and start building that network. Build your own personal network through friendship, mentorship, and other professional relationships, and then it will all start to hopefully congeal for you, and you'll see that pathway light up that will get you where you want to be. And we've talked about a number of the potential end states here, but there's going to be no shortage of demand signal going forward in support of government with respect to security, cybersecurity, big data, and cloud support. So, I mean, I know those are big buckets, but we could talk, have a whole nother seminar on where the government is and where the private sector is, and how everybody's trying to catch up and get there. And often these things start as big buzzwords, but there's a lot of underlying meat and technology and demand signals behind them that I personally see plenty of opportunity in for a significant time to come. Over.
Thank you guys very much. And I think we've heard certifications quite a bit so far. So our last topic, which might be one of the most important topics of this panel, is what specific certifications are most beneficial and transferable across multiple IT positions, or even just target a specific position, but the most used certifications within the federal government that we see. So on this, we'll hear from Blaine and Heidi, and then as well anybody else who'd like to chime in as well.
For me, it's just that very first most important certification is that clearance. It's not really a certification, but getting that clearance. It is so crucial. And then something that is not always front and center, but Security Plus. That seems to be like a really foundational. Everybody goes to the A plus and A pluses first, but Security Plus is the one that gets you to touch the areas that you need to do the work. Then you need to get the specialization certificates if needed, but you cannot touch the networks if you don't have that Security Plus certification. So if you do anything and you have access to it, do that one. That's my recommendation.
Well, I will definitely agree and say ditto, as we've said before, on that Security Plus. I think that is a huge opportunity for folks out there to get foundational experience or certification. I'm actually going to go back to something Jack said previously, which is the first thing I would recommend with certifications is find out what you want to do first. The last thing you should be doing is going in, spending the money, spending the time, spending the effort to get a certification, only to find out that you don't like coding, or you don't like security, or you don't want to do desk side support or desktop support. So I I think finding out what you want to do, which again, some of us are still trying to figure it out, me included, right? As we all learn as we grow. But if you can get an internship around a skill that you're interested in, and utilize that first to discern if I want to move further, that would be my first recommendation. And I'll go in and tell you a couple about the certifications, but my first guidance is go find out, dip your toe in the water, go try that job, see if you like that work, see if you like the internship, and if you form a passion around it, now pursue the certification. What you'll hear a lot from the federal government, or you'll hear from the federal large integrators, and you're going to hear from us small businesses on the line, is that experience counts a lot more heavy in a topic than just a certification. So a certification is not going to get you a job, but a certification is going to enhance your ability and allow you to grow inside of a job. Now, that being said, certifications are extremely important. But I think doing that couple things, starting off with that internship, start getting a first-time job out, and then pursuing certifications is a great idea. The types of certifications we see a lot, uh, obviously that Security Plus we think is huge. For us and all the Agile work we do is that Agile Safe or IC Agile Certified Professionals, or anything around Scrum Masters or coaching, those certifications. You can take a leap backwards or forwards from there and get to your PMP. So your project management, understanding and getting that PMP if you're going to become a project manager. Many times Scrum Masters evolved from a project manager. So they may have that PMP, and then now they have that Agile, or now they have that SAFE certification. And I think, quite frankly, both are fantastic. We're serving two different purposes. They give a more rounded view to the candidate by having that PMP and that Agile Safe. Uh, uh, some other ones we have, and I think they were mentioned already, are getting those certifications specific to Java or Oracle or your Microsoft. Again, once you found out what you'd like to do, those certifications are important. But by themselves, without some work experience, they're not going to hold anything. They're going to show that you can pass the test, and you can do some work study, and you can pass the cert. But you want to also get that actual true work experience, whether it's under a mentor, in an internship, a part-time job, an after-school support job, and go from there. So again, the big ones we see are the foundational Security Plus for us, the specific developer ones around Java specifically, and then obviously the Agile and the Agile Safe and IC practitioners. So.
Do you mind if I just add one other point there? So if you come in the door as an entry level position and you want to advance your career, most federal contractors will have training available to you. You can take boot camps to look at different areas. You can take certification exams that would be paid for. We have multiple training databases. For example, we have access to Skillsoft and Udemy, and these are technical training databases that you can go in and start checking out some of the different certifications and seeing if it's something that you might be of interest in. So you want to take advantage of those things once you do get your foot in the door. That is really how you advance your career. You're showing initiative, that you are willing to learn new certifications. It gets you a chance to try different things in some of these databases. And there's a lot of training opportunities with contractors out there. So once you do get your foot in the door, start looking into that. A lot of times there's mentors available depending on what track you want to take. But they are a great way. The IT federal contractors are huge in advancing not only the technologies that our employees know, helping our customers with making sure our employees are qualified, and on top of that, advancing you within your career so that you can go different ways within the company versus having to go outside the company for a different job. So take advantage of any training once you do get that job. Again, it shows initiative and it's just a great benefit.
Melanie, I think that's such a great advice for everybody. Doing that extra work, you're going to graduate college, you're going to get a 40+ hour week job, and then you're going to work certifications at nights. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're not going to work hard when you're young, I'm not sure when you're going to work hard. So it's taking that initiative right now, that'll bolster your career. That is fantastic advice, Melanie.
I would also add just showing up in the interview. If let's say data analytics is your your goal, you want to do something in that space. Blaine's absolutely right. Like there'll be requirements in the position, and so that's not going to get you the position in and of itself. But if that's your goal, showing up to an interview and having said, "Oh, yeah, I've got a certification here," and you've got one that's for Databricks or for Click or for Tableau or something like that. That demonstrates a lot of things, right? It demonstrates initiative. It demonstrates that you're serious about what you're doing here. So I think it adds credibility.
Well, thank you guys very much. Those are all great points and very helpful. I wish I had access to this when I was in college. It would have been very helpful as you kind of start navigating and making a plan as to what you want to do with your life. Well, at this time, I'm going to open it up to questions in the chat. So if anybody that's listening has any questions, please put them in the chat and we can get them answered. And if there are no questions, feel free to reach out to hbcuhire@theleadingniche.com and we will get the questions answered. And if you want a resume review or a one-on-one mentoring session, we will align that with a contractor so you will have access to them to get that help. I don't see any questions as of right now. So I want to thank every panelist for taking the time out of their day today to join us. Time is precious, so thank you guys very much for your expertise, your knowledge, and being willing to share that information with new grads and as well as alumni of these HBCUs. So thank you guys very much, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your afternoon.